What's up, EV Clan? Alex Espion here, and welcome back to the Pokemon Red Randomizer Nuzlocke, where in today's episode, I hope to get through the route I'm currently on, and then start the trek through Mount Moon. However, before we do that, I need to get my encounter on this route. So I need to go back and buy some Pokeballs, because I realized in between episodes that I needed to do that, and I didn't want to walk into that grass and sacrifice another encounter because I didn't have balls, because I don't think I have any currently. No, I do not. That would have been a terrible mistake, because I've been waiting since, like, Viridian Forest to get another encounter. And then if I just, like, let myself forget, as I normally do, like, if I'd walked into that grass, just letting myself forget, I would have been so angry at myself. But, yeah, we can buy 10 Pokeballs here. We have the money. We have quite a bit of cash here. Cash flow, because we beat the gym leader, and we beat some of those trainers on that route. So, we can afford quite a few items here. Let's get some more potions and get a bunch of Pokeballs in preparation for whatever we will be encountering on this next route. Here's to hoping we can catch it and then have a team of 4, which is completely unknown territory in these runs. I think I've had a team of 3 before. I don't think it lasted very long, but I think I did have a team of 3 before. But Team of 4 is completely new concept to me in these runs. So, let's see if we can manage to obtain a Team of 4 before we head into Mount Moon. Okay, so we got Bulbasaur. Yeah. So clearly this isn't an appropriate Pokemon to weaken this with. I think that what level is it? 5. Clamp is probably our best chance. It is, like, really rough that we have to switch into a Pokemon that's, like... It's not super effective on me, is it? Because I'm Ice type. An Ice type is... Like, Grass type is not very effective against Ice type, right? Or is it one of those types where... I talked about how I do that before. Where I just, like, assume that because a type is super effective, that type is also not very effective on it. But that's not necessarily always the case. So maybe it's just another case of me doing that, but I feel like... I mean, I can't say, I don't want to say we shouldn't have gone for another one. It looked like it might live another one, and I think that if we didn't go for another one, there was no way we were catching that, you know, like, it was not a big, it was not really a good idea to go for another one, because it was a very high chance of it killing. We'd have to get, like, a low roll or something, but, oh, look, here's a Mewtwo. In classic, I don't know, my luck fashion, here is a Mewtwo. I am not the least bit surprised because this trainer continues to give me trouble. This one specific trainer here is the bane of my existence for some reason. But, yeah, let's, I guess, get as much damage as we can before we have to switch out of Gerald. Which is not a lot, apparently. Because anything having to take a hit from a Mewtwo is rough. So, it's burned, which is good, and now it's a timer on its life. Jolteon... Okay, Olivia can probably take its best out of everyone on our team. So I don't want to switch into Jolteon. I don't want to have Jolteon... I don't want to force Jolteon to take a Psychic. Ooh, my... Okay. That is a lot of damage. Specifically, that is 28 damage, and that was a crit. So a normal attack will do 14. So we're gonna heal, and then we're gonna let it hit. Okay. So we live. As long as it doesn't crit the confusion, we live. Another hit. So let's hope it doesn't do that. We'll go for the Clamp. Disable? You're dumb. You're stupid. Unfortunately, you're a Mewtwo. So that's... You can be as stupid as you want, and frankly, probably still win. Hurt by the burn? The burn is doing nothing, man. This is terrible. Luckily, my attack continues. The confusion is, very effective. Did we snap out? Or does it just not affect us while we're clamping? This is great. This is going well. This is going very well. The clamp is doing work. The clamp is putting in work. Just one more. Ooh, confusion. We take it. Unless it's another critical hit, that is! Come on! Oh my gosh, man. Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, sure, just playing around 2 crits in a row. Yeah, sure. Sure, man. just play around it. That's rough, man. We almost got out of this without losing a Pokemon. And to think, we were about to get 4 Pokemon. And once we got into Mount Moon, we were like a trainer away from possibly getting 4 Pokemon. That stupid Bulbasaur. If we got that Bulbasaur, then it would have been 4 Pokemon. Whatever. That's my luck, man. It's nothing new to me. It's just... with time, you grow accustomed to the tragedy. But yeah, let's heal up and then give our precious Cloyster a memorial service the best we can here. Dang, that Cloyster put in work. I'm gonna miss this thing. I'm gonna miss that Cloyster, man. I guess I should have switched out. I mean, how am I gonna blame myself for like 2 crits in a row? I think it was 2 crits in a row. It was 2 crits, which is already a lot. Just bad luck. If it's 2 crits in a row, then that's even worse. I don't even remember which one the Cloyster was. I think it was Olivia. Olivia. You never can seem to live very long, can you? In no body have you lived very long. Oh, my computer just did that stupid thing where it does a notification. And now, because of... Oh, wait, not release, hold on. Deposit. I mean, I guess I could release it, but... I don't really do that in Nuzlocke. Yeah, here we go. Goodbye, Olivia. And, let's head into... Mount Moon. Let's see what we can get. Let's see what we can encounter here. Something good, please. This is decent. How are we gonna weaken this? I guess just Andrew going for tackle would be best. Because everything else we have is... This is stab. This is 40 power. This is not stab, but it's 40 power. Well, tackle, I believe, is 35. So I think the tackle is our best bet. And I don't believe that... Yeah, Magmar had Ember, which was also 40. So therefore, we want to go for the 35. And it was stab. So, this should not kill. Unless we get, like, the highest high roll ever. That's an exaggeration, but y'all know what I mean, I'm sure. Y'all get the point. Wow, man. Wow, just another Mewtwo, huh? And I can't even use that to, like, get people's attention. Because if I name another episode another Mewtwo, then it's not gonna have the same effect. Another Mewtwo? Okay. So, I don't recall... Maybe a 4th one. So, I guess this would be a male. Will it be a male? I don't know. No, it would not. Because, didn't we name a Pokemon like Gerald or something? Yeah, Gerald is the Magmar, so this is a female. We're gonna go with Alice. As we do. Yeah, that's just a downer, man. Instant I start recording, lose a Pokemon. And I really like that Cloyster, too. Rest in peace, Olivia. I find myself saying it far too often at this point. I don't feel safe going into Mount Moon now. I really don't. So, I guess I'll grind up this Machop a little bit. I don't want to say that that'll be the entire episode, but it might consume a fair amount of it. Because everyone else is like level 14 and this is level 8. It's Machop. So anyway, while I'm grinding away, what's something I could talk about? What was I talking about yesterday? Something about like Mario and like Mario adjacent stuff. Not very effective? Oh, it's normal type in this game. Okay. Okay. Super Mario 64. I love that Mario just goes around punching things. Like, Mario, in other games, it's like, oh, he jumps on them. He jumps on the enemies. Or he, like... This is just not a good thing to grind against. Let's run away. He goes around, like, jumping on enemies. Or, like, spinning into them. Or he does, like... Or he, like, blasts them with water or something. It's like, this one, he, like... In Super Mario 64, he literally, like, goes around punching and kicking things. I think that's so awesome. Like, why don't they bring that back? Just Mario goes around punching and kicking. Because nowadays, you look at it, and it's so uncharacteristically Mario. Like, I look at Mario 64, and I'm like, yo, remember the days when Mario went around just, like, getting physical with every enemy? It's like, Mario doesn't just punch things anymore. I miss that, the days of Mario just going around, just kick the Goomba in the face. Who needs to jump on it? Just kick it. Punt that Goomba across Bob-omb Battlefield. Yeah, just... I really do like a lot of the... I really do like Bob-omb Battlefield. I think that, like, nostalgia aside, because I don't have nostalgia for Super Mario 64, so I can look at it with, like, through the lens of, like, just how good it is. Like, nostalgia-free. I don't have, like, the rose-tinted lens that other people do. Bob-omb Battlefield is just good. Just a well-designed level. Because it shows you, like... so many mechanics. It's like... It's just a good level to start off with. Because it's like, immediately, you have this chain chomp. And then, like, you ground pound the stake, and it goes through them, and it hits the bars. It, like, flies off the chain, hits the bars, and then you get the star. It's like, okay, already, first level, they're teaching you how to ground pound. And then, like, with Koopa the Quick, they are teaching you more advanced movements, so that you could, like, because, like, you have to have some experience, like, moving around the game in order to be Koopa the Quick. So for some people who, like, who are, like, inexperienced with 3D platformers, which was kind of like everyone at that point in time, because Super Mario 64 was, like, one of the first ones. So, like, just, it helps you get a feel of the controls more immediately. Like, they are teaching you how to ground and pound, and helping you get a feel of the controls more by like, making you race someone. Because, like, you need to take these shortcuts, and you need to, like, cut corners and stuff, and you're getting a feel for the movement as you are doing this. Koopa the Quick, just, like, it's very good that they put him, like, so early in the game, because it really gives you a sense of, like, it gives you a chance to, like, get a hang of the movement early. And then just, like, King Bob-omb is a very... I feel like Bob-ombs prior to Super Mario 64 were, like, such a, like... Bob-ombs weren't around a lot prior to Super Mario 64, I feel. And, like, Super Mario 64, I feel, really popularized Bob-ombs. Because before it was just like, oh, I think that Bob-ombs were, like, in Super Mario Bros. 3 being shot out of cannons in, like the airship levels, and I don't even think it was all of them. So it's like, you've seen these guys, like, 5 or 6 times before, and then all of a sudden, like, in Super Mario 64, they get their own stage, and I think that's really good. And I think that the way it's done, too, is really nice, because it's like, Bob-ombs overall are just, like, not a very common enemy in Mario. Because, well, it makes sense, like, why would you just walk around and see all these, like, walking bombs? They don't seem like a natural creature, you know? Like, Koopas are turtles. Goombas are mushrooms. Walking bombs you don't typically see in nature. So, it makes sense that Bob-ombs wouldn't be very common. But then, like, but it's clever, to me, it strikes me as clever, that they realize, like, hey, Bob-ombs don't appear very often, how could we make them appear more in nature? And so they designed a natural level around Bob-ombs, making it a battlefield. Because how else would you design a level containing, like, lots of nature that feels natural, surrounding with Bob-ombs as a main point of the level? It's like, whenever you design a level where Bob-ombs will be present, it's typically, like, mechanical and stuff. Like, there are just those types of enemies, where it's like, they appear in situations where there are, like, mechanical things going on. Like bullet bills and bob-ombs and grolls all appear in like these towers and stuff, and like towers and castles and airships, because they are like more mechanical things. They are like metal enemies, so they seem out of place in like a natural landscape with like grass and stuff. But Super Mario 64 was clever in the way that it created a battlefield. The first level was a grass level, as first levels normally are in Mario. They didn't want to deviate from that. Still have it be like a grass level, even in this new 3D game, I guess. Because it's like, okay, 3D Mario is a big step. And so you gotta like think about what you want to change and what you want to keep the same. And overall, I think that prior to Super Mario 64, it was fairly well established. Obviously, it's more well established now. But just prior to Super Mario 64, it was already pretty well established that like you start on like in a grassy field. You start in like the plains, like that type of world, because each world has its own like theme. It's like, oh yeah, this is a snow world, this is a desert world, this is a like plains world, like grass world type of thing. And like all Mario games start with the grass world, you know? And I feel like, yes, it's more apparent now. Like now it's absolutely a rule, but it was already starting to become a rule by Super Mario 64, even if the graphics didn't reflect that with all games. Because obviously, you look at like Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 3, and it's just like, you are in like a plains type area, but it doesn't look like it. You know, the ground is like bricks in Super Mario Bros. Even though you are technically like in a plains type of area, and technically you are walking on like dirt. It's like, there's no grass to it, you know, like, there's no visible grass. And even in Super Mario Bros. 3, the floor looks like it's made out of like wood, and I don't think it was like very solidified that you were in like a plains type of area. I think that in Super Mario Bros. 2 it looked more like nature-y, like more natural, the landscape. But in Super Mario Bros. Obviously it was like everything was sort of made out of bricks, and like brown was a very common color. And it does strike me as weird looking back at it, that like this is what they call a sort of plains area, like a field. But like, if you look at Super Mario Maker, obviously like that is what it is, you know? Like you go into like Super Mario Bros. Style with a like new Super Mario Bros. Grass, and then it's just like that same that same brown ground brick that's in Super Mario Bros. And so then it's clear to see that like that was a field, you know, like that was while it may not have looked like it in the original game in Super Mario Bros. That is what a field looked like in that art style. And like same thing with Super Mario Bros. 3. Like when you switch between like the normal default like grassy area that is the typical style, general like basic style that you start out with, you switch from that in like New Super Mario Bros. U style to Super Mario Bros. 3, it becomes like that wooden floor. And it is just like very, I guess it's just like very, it wasn't very well established at that, with like the original trilogy, that like that was a field. That's what a field looks like. But I think that with Super Mario World, it's sort of like, Super Mario World was kind of like the one to like make the cycle make it clear, because Super Mario World, it absolutely looks, you're absolutely walking on grass, you know, like there's no debating it anymore. Like what you are walking on is like a field type of area. You are in a plains type of biome currently, and like Super Mario World really like sets that. And then you could look back on it and be like, okay, so the previous games were set in fields. Maybe it didn't look like it, but they were. It was that type of biome. That being said, I should not have gone for Karate Chop on this. I don't know if this thing has a psychic type move. It seems to not have a psychic type move, so that is good. But anyway, what was I saying before I got rudely interrupted by my fear of Drowsy killing me? Let me see. Let me think. Okay, so yeah. Super Mario 64, prior to Super Mario 64, it was starting to be established. Like, oh yeah, Super Mario World. Like, solidified. Like, the first world is grass. And they didn't want to, like, break that, especially when it still needs to become, like, a rule. Like, they want to keep establishing it as a rule. And think about like, Super Mario 64. If they went with, like, the type of ground that they went with in Super Mario Bros., the original, how different, how would that, like, how would that affect the way the series is now? Because I feel like it would have quite a large effect. Because prior to... Because, like, yes, Super Mario World sort of established it, but it took more games for it to become, like, a definitive rule. Like, the first world is always grass. And so, like, what if Super Mario 64 went with the Super Mario Bros. Style, where it's, like, brown bricks as the floor? Would the first world, the first level in Mario look different now? Like, if it sort of if Super Mario 64 didn't embrace that new rule that was forming, if it didn't solidify that new rule. Because Super Mario World presented for the first time these levels from Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 3, these first levels, the way that most people would imagine it to be, as fields with actual grass. And so I don't really know if it's like, I don't really know if they meant for it to look like a field, or that's just what it became in Super Mario Bros. Because obviously, like, it looks so different when you, like, Super Mario Maker really, I feel like, solidifies the idea that this is a plains biome. Like, on Super Mario Bros. 1-1, you are in, like, a plains area. But was that, but my question is, was that originally what they were going for? Like, a type of plains area? And if so, why was there no grass? Did they just not feel like making grass? Did they not like the look of it? And then later on, they adapted and sort of were like, okay, now the way we're making grass now looks good. Like, did they just design, like, the cracked brown bricks as, like, the dirt, and then they decided, like, not to add grass because they just didn't think it looked good? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if I'd have any way. I don't know how I'd have any way of knowing that. But either way, it's sort of, it was, these early games served to set the precedent of, like, oh yeah, the first world is a plains world. And I think that Super Mario 64 really helped solidify it even more so than Super Mario World. And so that's why it was so important that they do, like, a plains area to start off Super Mario 64. And I think that is what, and, like, that is, they needed to, you know, they needed to reinforce it in a 3D space. Because now in 3 dimensions, it is even more clear, like, you are in a field. This is what the first level in a Mario game should look like. They need to establish, in the first 3D game, they need to really establish what the first level in Mario looks like. Because at this point, you have access to a whole other, like, degree of, you have access to a whole other dimension. So now it's really time to establish, like, this is what Mario looks like in the first world. This is what the first area you will be visiting in a Mario game should look like. Like, it can be established in 2D, yes, like what Mario looks like. But it is established even more so in 3 dimensions, because then people really get an idea of, like, what the first level in Mario is supposed to look like. And so, Super Mario 64, it was so important that they stick with the kind of idea that they had with Super Mario World, and they continue to solidify that the first world is grass. Because people might have been confused coming out of Super Mario Bros. Or Super Mario Bros. 3. Because, yes, maybe a plains biome was what plains type of biome is what they were going for the first level. But that isn't what it ended up looking like. And it leads to people like me being confused, because it's like, is this a field? Is that what they were going for? Did they make it not look like a field on purpose, or is this just the best they could do with the graphics that were available, graphical limitations that they had that were in place at the time? It's like, I don't really know. It leads to confusion in the modern day, because it's like, well, because you look back at it and you're like, well, first level in Mario is always like a field. But this doesn't look like a field. it leads to confusion, because then you're wondering if they did this on purpose, or it was like a design choice, or legitimately they thought that it looked like a field. But yeah, I guess just what I'm trying to say is that Super Mario 64 went with an interesting enemy that we hadn't seen a lot of, like establishing bombs as like a more like first putting bombs into the spotlight, which was a very interesting thing to do, especially for a first level, because normally you'd see them as like these things found in like the ships in Super Mario Bros. 3, and that you would see them like pretty late in, which means you see them pretty late in. Like starting the game off with bombs was something very new for the time, because bombs at the time were such an uncommon enemy, and to this day they still are quite uncommon, I'd say. But like Super Mario, now you think of bombs, I feel like everyone thinks of Super Mario 64 like King Bob-omb, which is great, because that I feel is the desired outcome of how they designed the level. It's to put a spotlight on this. Super Mario 64's first level was to put a spotlight on this enemy that had been seen not too often in the previous games, while also establishing what a first level should look like, and establishing the mechanics of the game very well. Super Mario 64's Bob-omb Battlefield is frankly genius. And I can complain about Super Mario 64 all day, but I will say that Bob-omb Battlefield is just designed really well. From like the standpoint of teaching someone how to play the game, to a standpoint of like establishing the rules of the universe, of the world that they are in, establishing how Mario looks, how enemies look, I shouldn't say how Mario looks, I mean like Mario as a whole, the game series. How like the enemies look, how the landscape looks. It just establishes a lot of things that the series would continue to, establishes a lot of rules that the series would continue to follow in the future, while also trying new things. And I think that is great. Like putting a spotlight on enemies that aren't so well known, such as the Chain Chomp and Bob-omb. Because now you look at a Chain Chomp and it's like, that is a staple enemy. But back then, I feel like Chain Chomps were not as well known as they are now, because they'd only appeared in like Super Mario Bros. 3 prior to that. And I think they might have been in Super Mario World, but I'm not entirely sure about that one. But anyway, rant over. In the next episode, we'll be going through Mount Moon. Thank you all so much for watching, Eevee Clan. Make sure you like and subscribe for more, and I will see you all next time. This is Alex Espion, signing off.